Okay, today's video, we're going to talk about and answer the question of if you are considering a lead selling business, whether should you actually go through with it or not. I'm going to cover what the lead selling business is about, coming from somebody who's also been in the lead selling business before but chose to not pursue it. In exchange of just working with clients at our advertising firm on a monthly retainer/service basis, the idea of selling leads is actually quite attractive. You don't have to deal with the client per se, I don't care having to deal with the client, but a lot of people don't like dealing with clients directly in terms of managing the relationship. If you're selling leads, it's a lot more straightforward. Either you buy the leads or you don't buy the leads. But if it were only that easy, I would also do it myself. At surface level, it seems like it's that easy. The reality is a bit different, and I'm going to talk about why that is and why selling leads to businesses mostly sucks as a business model, even though it can work. I've seen people make lots of money doing this as well. So I'll explain why most of the time it is challenging running a lead selling business, and what you can do to be successful with it, as well as all the stuff to stay away from and why it's challenging, as I mentioned to begin with. So there's two main ways that you can run a lead selling business that's generally overall successful every time you try it out. And there's lead selling business models where it basically doesn't work, even though that's like the most obvious way to go with it. As a small side before I get into the meat of the content, I talk about on my videos on this channel all the time that if you're trying to get into a lead selling business, the easiest way to do that, if you can sell and you can manage and think you can manage clients because you're a people person, you're likable, but you don't necessarily know much about getting leads at a reasonable cost that can be flipped. You're getting them at a cheap enough cost, at with good enough quality. You should contact me after this video because we have templates that generate leads for dozens upon dozens of different markets. You can take the leads that our campaigns produce. Basically, you just take the ads, landing pages, campaign templates, copy and paste them into your advertising accounts, turn them on. You're going to have leads that are going to come in at a affordable enough rate that you could sell those leads. So if you want to get into the business, this is literally the easiest way to do it. There's a big challenge finding clients, managing clients that will take those leads. But as far as the lead side itself, if you're wondering how to generate leads at a cheap cost, I have the leads that can be generated at a cheap cost. Not at, an astronomically cheap cost, so that somebody who mismanages leads big time is going to be able to still make money, but leads at a cheap enough cost that a reasonable person who can sell reasonably well, that you could still mark them up and still make money and be in the middleman, if you will, between Google/Facebook and your client. So with that said, so lead selling businesses seem on the surface like a really good business to get into at the surface, mainly as the delivery side of what you have to do at your business is seemingly so easy. That is, and it is naturally, lead selling businesses, if you want a passive income business, assuming once you got the client knows the quality of the leads, they know the ROI of the leads, there's nothing to manage. Your campaign runs. Of course, the ad platforms change so that the campaign's going to run not the way that it is running, at the present time forever like that. But for the most part, the campaign runs, client taking the leads, you're billing their card every month for the leads. It's all like an automated business. In terms of passive income business, that's as passive as it possibly can basically get. Of course, getting the clients isn't passive necessarily, but it can be systematized. And managing the campaigns can be systematized for the most part, assuming you got somebody who knows what they're doing, like myself, who actually runs ads, dozens of ads on an ongoing basis, who understands and has a beat on things on how to get results out of Google and out of Facebook and so forth. But for the most part, it's not managing a whole team of people to deliver a complicated service, which is challenging because you have to manage personnel. There is no really personnel involved. It's just once everything is hooked up, you're done, if you will. And if you're generating plumbing leads, the same campaign to sell leads to one person is the same to sell it to 100. So that's delivery is just basically pushing a button. That said, the hard part is in managing that client and finding it, of course, at the same time, which they kind of are interlinked, because you can find a client really easy. Finding a client who is willing to pay a reasonable cost for a reasonably good quality lead, hard. Why? You may think the leads are good quality. You may think and know that the leads are profitable if they're, you just are, a basic person who can sell on a basic level to these clients who take on, that you're trying to sell the leads to. The average Joe business owner, they are respectively totally clueless. The reality is people can't sell the leads, sell the services to the people that you're bringing to them most of the time. And if they could, they'd also be competent enough to invest in their own lead generation campaigns so they have control over their messaging and lead flow, or they don't understand what client lifetime value is and how that factors into what you're needing to pay for a lead or should be willing and able to pay for a lead. So, because when I mentioned I was in the lead generation business before, I thought, screw these PPC clients, and having to manage a client relationship. I'll just sell the leads. Not because I hate clients or anything, but it's just less moving parts, less complicated. They want the leads. Why do they need to buy a PPC service when I could just provide them the leads with the campaign template that I ran for someone that has the same business and just give them what I developed for the last guy and sell, on a lead by lead basis? I tried doing that in the elevator space. I started out selling per lead, and then I went to selling. I tried to sell where I'd get a percentage of the revenue as well, and respectively. And then from there, I tried to do it in a couple other spaces. What I found out just in the process of running my PPC agency over the years. Been running a PPC agency for 10 years now. Clients as a whole don't have very good sales process. So when you bring them a lead for $100 and you think, okay, they could close, 1 out of 4 of these leads, you'll get a client for $400. The client's worth, $1,700. There's good ROI there. The reality is you give them these leads and they don't answer the phone. The form leads you bring them, they don't respond to them on time. They wait till the next day to respond to them. Then they'll respond to them once, and then they won't follow up with them again, which that in and itself is a formula to get about 25% of the value out of the leads than you could otherwise, that other people are willing to do and are getting the clients. And you could tell them, hey, you need to do all this stuff, but it's almost like just you're talking to a brick wall basically most of the time. They got an employee who don't give a rat's ass whether that or not that client makes any more money or not. They're being paid a shit wage. And if they could pay that person more, they might care enough to do some of this stuff. But they aren't, and so they're not. And so the foundation of their business, they're so incompetent, basically, they can't make money from your leads. Not unless you're going to provide the leads so cheap that even their incompetent ass can still make money at the end of the day for what you're selling them for. And guess what? If you're trying to generate leads, let's say off of Google search, and then sell these leads, there's not huge margins here. Yes, you can generate a lead for $30 and sell it for $60 to have them have a good margin. But what most of these people do with their incompetent people that they have working for them to handle the phones or whatnot, they need you to sell them the lead for $10 just to make up for all the inefficiencies in their own systems. And unless you're going to literally go into their business, set up an entire sales process for them, they're not going to be able to make money from your leads. And that's most people. You're going to have to find 10 clients to buy your leads to find one person competent enough to make good money from your leads. When you're trying to at least generate leads from like Google search ads, when you can get leads at a good profitable rate and then mark them up 100%, which is about what you got to do in order to really make money, because marking them up 10, 20% with all the fraud that you're going to have to deal with from clients and all that, it's not enough. 50% markup, you're still operating with thin margins, and the client can't just be winging their sales process for those leads to be still worth it and profitable to them. They don't understand the cost that you're paying for those leads, what they're worth. They'll get leads in the door. they'll wake up on the wrong side of the bed one day and say, I don't know why I'm paying this guy for all these leads. Fuck them. I'm not paying them anymore. And really the leads were profitable to the client, but they're so incompetent, they don't understand they're making money from those leads. You would think, well, when the leads get shut off, they'll realize their business is dried up. The reality is, most of these airheads they'll shut off the leads, they'll make less money, and then they'll just, because they don't want to think they themselves are a retard, they'll blame it on something else, and then it's every level of incompetence on these people you're dealing with, you will get. Why is that? Because people that are competent marketers, going back to what I said before, no offense to anybody to this video, but this isn't about, feel good, make people feel good here. This is the truth. If they were competent, they would already have figured out how to hire somebody who at least knows what they're doing to get them a marketing campaign that was successful for their own brand. They wouldn't need to just rely on buying leads. You're selling leads to people who haven't done that, which means they're either too cheap to set up their own ads the right way, or they just don't understand the power of ads, which I can't possibly understand why you wouldn't understand that in today's world. And so you're dealing with if you will, a flawed person right from the get-go, which aren't going to deal with your leads the right way. They're not going to think about the value of your leads the right way. They're not going to understand that the client's really worth, not what they spend on the initial purchase with you, with that person, but over the 5 next purchases, they'll want to know that, that plumbing client that you bring them, they'll want that initial transaction to pay for the cost of the lead. And if it doesn't, your leads are a scam. When really you could explain to them until you're blue in the face, that person's worth 5 times that amount. Because if you divide all the customers you ever had by the total revenue you ever had, your value of a client is worth, it's 5 times the initial transaction. They don't want to play ball with you. They don't want to think, they feel like you're manipulating them or whatever the hell. And so for all these reasons, it's not nearly easy as to find a good client than you think it is. Granted, again, the business is beautiful if you can find these right mindset clients, but you're going after somebody. It's almost like those deal-a-day sites like Groupon. People bought into Groupon big, like back in 2009, 2010. The company's a shadow of what it used to be back in the heyday, the prime. Why? Because people they realize the con of what it was. You cannot get a client that you attract by having rock bottom deals / discounts and then expect that client to turn into a good client in the back end. The client who wants 50% off, a 50% off deal and has time to look for it is the worst of the worst of the worst customer you can actually get in your market. And so you're building your entire foundation of your business on basically quicksand. So the deal with selling websites back then was the most obvious person I think I should go after to sell a brand new website is the person who has a shitty website. That's the absolute worst thing you could do in that situation. Why? The person who doesn't have a good website doesn't have one for a reason. You sell the buyers because the buyers are the ones that spend money on that type of thing. So you go after people who don't run ads for themselves. Now, so if you were going to do it, you would actually go after the people that do run ads for themselves. But it's kind of, in this particular point in time, it's still hard to sell to them because they're already running ads, so they don't need your leads. Maybe they need extra leads, but you get what I'm trying to say here. So with all that said, unless you're getting a huge margin on your leads, on top of everything else, you're going to battle with finding the right clients. Unless you can make enough of a margin between what you're getting the leads for and what you're selling them for, it's a big risk to you because you'll get also clients who charge back their leads. I went through that whole spiel with the clients and the quality of the clients and all the shit you're dealing with the clients, mainly because you'll send these leads to people and some of these people are so airheaded. You could give the same exact leads to one guy, he's making a fortune, loves you, would kiss your feet if you were to meet in person. Another guy will say you're a complete scam, ripoff, and that they're going to charge back their credit card for these leads just simply because they don't know what their head from their ass when it comes to sales. So, and I don't care how good quality lead you have. If somebody doesn't know sales, they're not going to make your leads worth it, and they're not going to see value in them. So you'll get chargebacks, and if you're making this, like I was mentioning before, like this 10% markup on your leads, and you get one guy who screws you real bad, where the last 90 days, because you can do a chargeback up to 4 months in the future, where he charges back 3 months worth of leads that you had to pay full price for just to sell to him. All your profits from the last 3 months are wiped out from this one asshole who charged back his credit card for all what you charged him for the leads. It'd be like you had an e-commerce store and somebody, 10% of your customers all charged back everything you sold to them in the last 3 months. All your profits now gone for those 3 months. So you have to make enough of a markup to make up for the fraud that you're ultimately inevitably going to get. So there's that. Okay. And you would think a credit card authorization agreement would stop you from getting a chargeback, but when you deliver a lead and somebody says they did not deliver a lead, it's really hard to prove you delivered those leads. Yes, you can fight some of that, but it's still not by any means foolproof. Beyond that, it takes time to get a really good cost per lead. Even if you were starting with my templates that I've ran for years, like let's say in the plumbing space to generate a low cost per lead basically right away, you're still going to have to build the history up with Google Ads for a period of time so that they can see you're a good advertiser, give you the benefit of the doubt by lowering your cost per click enough where the lead cost is going to be what I get after running those same ads for years already in an account. And by time so you're going to be basically running the ads at a loss for a few months just to get it to where you got your lead cost where it needs to be, so that you can sell the leads for a markup and they have the leads for a cost where they can make money. And then oftentimes what people will do is they'll just yank the rug out from underneath you. Oh, the leads suck. I don't want them. And then the money that you had to spend just to get the campaign, to get momentum, you never recover that money. So it would be worth it if they would buy leads for the next 2 to 10 years. But many people are going to buy them for 90 days and are going to quit. And you got 90 days where it's not even going to be profitable to you. You're going to literally have to run your ads at a loss for those first 90 days just to get the lead cost down due to Google's quality score system. And the same thing is with, running ads on Facebook, and algorithms drive your results anymore. It's not a switch that you just flip on, you get the results right away. The best situation then no matter what you're advertising with on these platforms like Google and Facebook, is you get the ads running and you don't shut them off. Because if you shut your ads off, that is going to affect your results with Google. You can't shut your ads off and then on and expect your results to ever be very good. So what you need to do, if you're going to get into the lead selling business, is you need to have the ads running nonstop. And therefore, you got to have a buyer for your leads no matter what, which is where you have multiple people lined up to buy your leads. So if guy 1 doesn't want them, it immediately goes to guy 2. And that's the only way to do it. Otherwise, your cost per lead is going to not be what it needs to be for you to be able to mark up the leads successfully like you need to be. And so there's 2 formulas then effectively because of that or with that it works if you're going to get into the lead selling business, okay? Right away, you don't want to do a referral service. I see many people try this and this doesn't work, where you're going to sell the leads to people that are in the space, and they're going to run a website that says, we are a referral service. We know the best plumbers in LA and blah, 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 blah. Why? And that does not work because people don't give a shit about your referral service. And if you try to shove that down people's throats when they're looking for a plumber, they're not going to convert into a lead at a cheap enough rate for you to be able to mark the leads up and now be profitable as a middleman. So you only have one opportunity, which is to go and pretend like you're a plumber. So they think they're calling some random plumber on Google. And even then it's not efficient because, if you're selling the leads to somebody, like I was mentioning before, the ads have to keep running no matter what to keep a good cost per lead. Your landing page you take them to has to be a somewhat generic landing page so that when one guy quits buying them, you can immediately sell it to the other guy. But when you do that, because you have nothing about the plumbing company at all in terms of the reviews, testimonials like that, you immediately are going to take a hit in your conversion rate. See, that's not a very good model. So with all these things said, there's two major ways to make lead selling businesses work that I see that are like proven, the proven ways to do it. That is, one of which is you generate the leads and then you sell them to one person by running them first through a call center that you own and are managing, so that if the one person you're trying to sell your leads to can't take on the lead at any given time, you can immediately route the calls you get to a secondary person. So in other words, you run your ads, leads go to a call center, the call center pre-qualifies them, if you will, and then you say, okay, let me route you to the person. You call the person that you're going to route the call to, the lead to. If they don't pick up the phone right away, you route it to somebody else. That way you have a guaranteed buyer on the other end. That way your ads always are going to stay on. You have 5 backup buyers to go, ready to go. And then furthermore, you train those people so that when you route it to them, they don't just say like, Bonnie's plumbing. Like, it would create too much of a disconnect. What you do is you tell the person like, hey, I have my tech ready to go. They'll talk to you about getting a quote. And then the person on the other side has to pretend and play ball with that storyline, if you will. Okay. But in addition to that, because of all the, and in that case, if you want to make the big buck, the people that make great money do lead selling, what they'll do at the call center is they'll get a lead that's semi-qualified and they'll develop that lead over the phone, such as in the drug rehab space. You generate leads for people that want help, their drug problem, not necessarily to hire a drug rehab agent or to go to a drug rehab. Because if you generated leads for people wanting to go to drug rehab, since it's so saturated, the cost per lead would be high. And then you got to find clients that want to pay an even higher lead cost to get those leads. And it's a challenging business. But if you go and think outside the box and you get people that just want to talk to a counselor for free, and then you train people to talk to the person about their problem, and then get 5% of the people that call in convinced to go to a drug rehab, and then say, hey, there's one we really, really recommend. It's this one. I can get you, there's a bed available this week. Normally they are not available, as is, around the area. It's hard to get a bed. Would you like to at least book a time right now? And then you transfer that hot lead to the drug rehab center and they book it. And that works great because the rehab center can't fuck it up, basically. They're getting a hot lead. It's been talking on the phone to somebody in the call center for 20 minutes. It's pretending to be a counselor, which, not really. It is a counselor for all practical. They're already bought in. They cannot, unless that person that on the other end of the phone is like a complete dipshit, they're not going to screw up. So that formula takes out the whole incompetence angle, but it also puts you in a position to they get the leads for a lot cheaper, because you could get somebody who's willing to talk to a counselor for $5-10 a call. And then, even if you're only getting 5% of those people to, actually be able to, wanting to book talk to somebody about booking a time with a drug rehab, you're still only paying about $130 a booking. If you're running Google ads, you're going to be paying $100 a call anyway. And then of those, only 1 in 3 are going to book. Now you actually got your goal, if you're going to make truly good money, you got to be able to deliver a booking at a cheaper cost than what these guys that also run ads can book on their own, and they will take your leads and it's the right person and they can't screw it up. That's the proven formula. It's just not as easy as what people want it to be. They want to be able to get a lead on Google ads, flip the lead to somebody, when they submit a form on your landing page that you set up, and it immediately goes to the person, and they're paying every month for every lead that you're transferring over digitally to their email address every time. That business model is challenging, but there is a proven way of still doing that. Which is the second way that people make money selling leads, which is you resell the leads for a dirt cheap price. In the moving space, this is big. You generate moving company leads, people to sell the leads to, like 10 different people. And then when the lead comes in and you're paying $30 for a lead, you sell that lead to each of the 10 people for $3. And even though the setup isn't right, when they get a lead to their email inbox and they know that person didn't reach out to that moving company specifically, and that they're going to have to call them up and struggle to get a quote for them, the lead's coming in at so cheap of a cost, but you're still talking to somebody who is in the market for a mover, that they're willing to pay the $3 for the lead, because people that don't like to spend on Google ads, they're cheap for the most part. No offense to anybody here watching this, but And that type of cheap person loves to buy a lead for $3. So whereas they won't pay, whatever per lead on Google, or to run the ads, or the reality is, I don't want to pay for a click. I want to pay for a lead because they want to assume no risk. Okay, well then you sell them the $3 cheap lead, which is right up their alley. And so you set up your landing page. It's an unbranded landing page, and then that lead goes out to 10 people at the same time. Whoever gets the job gets the job. That is a business model in terms of lead selling that works great itself. The whole selling leads to one person individually, most people don't do that. Where they do that, like I said, is where there's an intermediary stage where you're pre-qualifying the lead, and you probably are generating a lead that ultimately isn't quite ready to buy, because those leads are so expensive, it's hard to double the price and then have somebody that will buy it on the other end, if that makes sense. So you either go send them to a call center, pre-qualify the lead. Leads that are qualified, you send it on to a person that's ready for it on the other end. And if they're not ready for it, you still have 4 or 5 backup purchasers for that hot lead. Or you resell the lead to many, many people on the other side. At least 5, if not 10 different people the lead goes out to. And you go that way with it. So pick your option here. Obviously, more people are going to go with this option, selling your lead to 10 people, because there's less moving parts. You could take a campaign that we have that's proven in a certain niche and do this really well, but it's still not easy, because you still got to go out and find the clients who are willing to buy the leads for $3 a pop and get them to say yes and maintain that roster. The main limiting factor there is, if you're generating moving company leads, let's say in Chicago, and you need 10 buyers in Chicago, people that bought the leads eventually you'll burn them out. They'll say, oh, those leads don't work. And then there's only so many moving companies in Chicago to sell them to, and you may run out of buyers, which might be then, as a result of that, better if you sell nationwide company leads for like long distance moving, so you can sell them. Sorry, that's not a really great analogy here. Find something where there's you can sell those leads to anybody in the country, but even then, there's still only 150, 200 people maybe in that industry you can sell them to, and of which only 10% of those people are going to want to buy. And so you might run out of people to sell them to, because a lead, it's hard to keep a client buying those leads, even though they're dirt cheap itself. Some people will buy them for years, but you got to keep in touch with them, keep the morale up. Whereas if you go this other angle where it's harder to put together a phone staff that can take a person from not quite ready yet to ready, and then you're selling that hot lead, it's like you're selling crack at that. The people you're selling to want as many of those damn leads as you possibly can get, because they know every time the phone rings, it's money. And so then it's just, who do you want to give the lead to? That takes out the sales part of the equation completely. There is no selling. It's, I have a job. What are you willing to pay for it? And then you can even go to different people and say, okay, well, John's actually this week said he'd pay $100 for each one of these hot calls. You willing to pay $125? If not, I'm going to start giving them to John. And you can play those games, because you're in the power position at that point in time, not the company buying the leads anymore. So whereas it's a lot of work, and I've seen people do this in like the solar space before, drug rehab space. So in the solar space, what you do is you run an ad that says new tax credit for solar people. Get $10,000 in terms of a tax credit for people in the solar, for people that have, 2 or more children, which is it really applies to everybody. But it sounds like, because everybody wants something for nothing, right? And then you get that person on the phone, and then you bring them back down to earth, if you will, as I call it, and you explain, hey, yes, this is, do you have 2 or more kids? Yes, you do. Oh, okay, great. What this is actually, you can get $10,000 tax credit. You just have to buy a solar panel. And then a bunch of those people are just going to say, no, F you. And it, certainly for good reason, feel like they've been baited, if you will. But, 2 or 3% of those people are going to be willing to talk to somebody about solar panels and like what the cost of it is. And then you get those hot transfers over to a salesperson who can sell. Which those leads, you may not say that those are very good quality, but the reality is the solar salespeople, they have to door knock to get leads, and they're already working with people that aren't very qualified to begin with. The good salesperson can take somebody that's just willing to hear like what the price is on solar panels and so on and so forth, and make sales that way, and can still sell those leads for those hot transfers for like $300 a pop, because they're going to be able to sell like 1 in 10 to 1 in 20 of them anyway, if you will. And you sell 10% of those at $300 a pop. It's $3,000 marketing cost to generate a sale. You know, $75,000 deal on that solar deal on average. Their commission's going to be 10% of that. They're getting $7,500. You can see how this formula works. This formula here works mainly on big, higher ticket things, particularly if you're going to work on developing that lead, if you will. But you could also do it like if you were even generating leads for plastic surgery or, you know, like dermatology clinic, something like that, where you're taking the call, you're qualifying that lead as to what their need is, and then you're transferring the booking after you got the booking already. And then so then you're just contacting the dermatology clinic saying, I got 10 people a week that are looking for dermatology services. They're ready to go. I'd like to send them to you. All we're asking for is XYZ per booking, which you can basically, you're not selling a booking guaranteed, but it's about as good as guaranteed as you get, because your person that answers the phone is going to be asking some pre-qualification questions. Get them ready to the point where they're being transferred and they're ready to book right then and there. And I've seen people do that kind of stuff before. So anyway, that goes over the lead selling business. As I've seen, I run an ad agency. I've sold leads myself. I don't like managing expectations on lead quality and teaching people how to sell. I want people that just want to run ads because they're just more confident as a whole. But I also seen, so I have my experience, but I also seen many, many people come to me that sell leads that want my expertise on figuring out how to get their lead costs down. I see how they're doing it. I also talk to my clients who buy leads, which I've had hundreds of clients in the last 10 years, and ask them about the leads they buy and get it from their perspective. Mainly their issue is the leads that they're getting are, which goes along with what I said. People that they don't know how to sell the leads, so they think it's poor quality, but a lot of it genuinely, I'm sure, is it's poor quality as well. And like what people, just like in the PPC services space, there's 9 out of 10 people that say they do PPC management services. They don't know what they're doing, and they try to get a clueless person to pay for them because there's enough clueless people you can make a business out of it. And on the lead selling side, there's people that don't track their leads and whether they close or not. And if you sell leads to enough people, whether they could be an absolute dog shit quality lead, some people will keep buying them because they just literally that clueless. They'll buy air. So anyway, with that said, I'll wrap everything up with that. Hopefully that made a lot of sense. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or a comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. If you are looking for the source of information on how to make millions of dollars in revenue and sales for your business, running ads for your business, this is the channel to subscribe to, as all the information I'm sharing with you on this channel comes straight from the source and somebody who does the ad strategy on dozens of ad accounts on an ongoing basis, from dozens of accounts that we manage on Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, and so on and so forth. 99+% of the information you find on the web, including on YouTube, about managing and running ads is coming from second, third, fourth-hand sources, people that sell courses that don't really run ads, or they run an agency, but they don't touch the ads themselves. Therefore, they don't know really what's going on. That's exactly what I do 40 hours a week at my job here, and I give you everything that works and doesn't work on a silver platter on this channel for you to have. This is the best information you're going to find on how to make money with ads, I promise you. Therefore, you should subscribe, and you should subscribe right now. I also, by the way, have a blog that I run and maintain and write for on my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog. My blog just focuses on individual strategies that make money in terms of running ads that you can easily use with step-by-step instructions, with screenshots on what to click on and what to do. If you like my channel, you're going to love my blog as well, and probably even more, as most people do. So you should check that out as well. I run an ad agency, as I mentioned, as my sole main business here. I run other e-commerce businesses that I am part owner on as well, but my main business is the ad agency that I run, in which we guarantee results for clients on their campaigns. That is, if we work with the client, we promise them so much results in terms of an increase in profitability on their campaigns up front, If we do not deliver that, we do not take a fee. We're the only agency out there that does that, which should tell you about the quality of the information I'm providing to you here, because everything we use to guarantee results for clients, we give it to you on this channel for free. But if you want to see if we can work together in that kind of capacity, because you just want somebody to run your ads or give you the results that you're ultimately looking for, reach out to me at guaranteeppc.com. I'll see if we can potentially work together. I don't take on just any client, but I can at least see if there's an opportunity that works where we can get you a lot of results. I can tell you about what we can get and what we can promise you. So reach out to me at guaranteeppc.com if you want to have a discussion about that. As a side, I mentioned at the very start of this video, we sell campaign templates. If you're trying to get to a certain lead cost or a certain result with your ads, and we've worked in your niche market before, which we've worked in over 100 niche markets to this day in the last 10 years running Guarantee PPC. You can use all the ads, landing pages, campaign templates that we've developed already in your market to get phenomenal results, and just buy them so you can copy and paste all the results that we're getting into your own ad accounts with none of the work, none of the time and money that we had to spend to figure out how to get those results in your same market in a different geographic area. Many times where we've spent millions of dollars of ad spend to figure out what works the best. So if you're interested in that, you can also reach out to me. We got people that use these templates to start lead generation businesses already. Got people that use these templates to start like e-commerce businesses, selling products that you can easily source from China to sell the same thing as our client has in a country they'll never do business in. So anyway, if you're interested in any of those opportunities, you can also reach out to me at guaranteeppc.com. I'll wrap everything up with that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.